All right, for today's lesson, again, we are looking at this problem. This is the same question that you had for your math message, and I'm going to be showing you how I could work this out using some of the explanations that you're going to have to do in your You-Do in a little bit. So here it says, Rosa makes an estimate for the addition problem below. She uses numbers that are close to the numbers in the problem, but are easier to use. That's called her estimate. Okay, so the problem here that she's really trying to solve is here. 322 plus 487. So that's really what she's trying to solve. But we're making an estimate and saying what would be close to that. Let's pretend again like we don't have paper and pencil to write that out, to write it up and down and check. Let's just pretend we have to do it in our brains. This is why we might need to estimate. So she came up with 320 plus 490, which is a really good estimate. But again, I don't know if in my brain I could add 320 plus 490 still. That still seems like it might be tricky. So what I notice here is she rounded. Okay, so I see that she rounded, so I could write that. That's something that I noticed because the 322 does round, and she rounded to the nearest 10. So I could round, and I could write out if I had my typing on, I could round to the nearest 10, right? And I also see that her answer here is close to 810. So her answer should be near 810. So as I'm writing right now, I'm going to step out. This shows me that I am really just writing down things that I'm looking at when looking at the work and looking at the problem, right? So these are just things that I'm seeing. I'm observing these things. So I'm just writing them down. Now, where it says, what do you wonder? These are things that I'm asking, well, if she already rounded them to the nearest 10, what's another way that I could try to estimate? So here I might be thinking, is if you actually add these numbers, what's the answer? So what is the actual answer? Is it close to that 810? Is that what is it reasonable to say that her estimate makes sense? So what is the answer? So these are questions that I have. Is 810 a good guess? Would that be enough? So those are questions I'm thinking. So now I'm going to go to the next part. It says make a different estimate. What close but easier numbers could you use? Now, in the audio that I put in for your math message that I hope that you listen to, I suggested that you use the hundreds. So you would round to 100. Instead of 320, 322 is close to 300. Because again, I'm thinking if I didn't have a calculator and I couldn't work this out, what numbers could I do in my brain? I want just simple, easy numbers without having to add multiple things. So 300, I can do that. And again, I'm adding, so I'm going to put a plus sign. And then 487, I could make 400, but 87, there's a lot in between 0 and 100, and 87 is closer to 100. So I'm going to make it all the way up to go to 500 instead of 400. I'm going to make it go 500 because it would technically round up there. Again, your ballpark estimate does not actually have to round. It just has to be near it. And so, but it happens to round here too. So 300 plus 500 in my brain quickly, I can do that. That one's 800. Right? And if you are wondering how did I still get that, right? You do the hundreds place. So 3 plus 5 is 8. These had two zeros, and so my answer is going to have two zeros. Right? So that's one way to check my work. I wonder what you're going to do in your You-Do today.